Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show today because I finally got in touch with somebody that, I kind of dropped upon him and said, oh, man, this guy really has what it takes. Anyhow, what's the title of the show today? TBTV's Tim Black talks independent media and economic survival. Subtitle of the show today. Show host, social critic, pundit, and owner of TBTV is our featured guest. We're discussing independent media censorship and funding as well as current political issues. That is, look, folks, I stumbled onto Tim Black a few months ago. It was like, whoa, in your face, progressive independent media. I said to myself, I've got to get that guy on my show, man. This guy, unlike many in the space, has no problem going against the grain. He does not toe the line. Tim Black is the owner of TBTV on YouTube and Facebook. He calls himself a fighter for humanity, and I have links to both his Facebook page and his YouTube channel. Check it out. It's full of good stuff. Today, we will talk about the problems afflicting the independent media. We will talk about progressive candidates and policies. I mean, the man is opinionated, but one governed by reality and not hope. Hear what I say? Reality and not hope. But without further ado, El Señor Tim Black. How are you doing, my friend?
Hey, man. How you doing? Egberto, my brother, my friend. Thank you.
Hey, come on. You have to be a brother who knows how to roll them R's, man. What's wrong with you, Tim?
Egberto. Look. I'm just going to call you E. How you doing?
That's good enough, man. That's good.
Thank you.
How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Thank you for taking the opportunity to have me on and introducing me to your audience, brother. I appreciate it.
Well, I mean, it's hard to miss you on the internet, and I mean, let me tell you something with you. You start to look at your show, man, and it's like, those things that you gravitate to. You start to watch it, and it's like, yeah, and then when you're hitting them up, it's like, yeah, exactly. Somebody needs to say that.
Wow, brother, that's a huge compliment coming from you, man. I know that you are well respected as well in this community of online independent media folk, man. So I really appreciate it, man. That's great.
It comes from the heart, sir. Let me tell you something. I like the way you handle things. I like when you rough folks up. I like when you don't make the spin run what you're doing. That is what I love most of all. You don't fall for the spin, or you don't try to acquiesce to what's going on and that sort of thing. And I think that is what's important in this field now. I'm pissed at you though. You have me wearing a jacket because by the way, folks, what happened is we were here on the nick of time. We barely made it on the nick of time, but you know what? It's cool. It's cool. I have my jacket on. Anyhow, Tim, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, before we get into me, man, it's really not about me, Egberto. It's about Julian Assange, man. They're about to kick him out of the Ecuadorian embassy.
I heard that.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
Yeah, man, it's very unfortunate, man, what's going on in Ecuador. The President Moreno has decided there was some publications, announcement that within hours to days that Julian Assange may be kicked out of the Ecuadorian embassy. He's been there for 7+ years.
Yeah.
And basically he's been imprisoned in Ecuador for the charge of giving us information that's vital to a democracy, to the world. So I want to support him. We got a hashtag movement going on right now called Protect Julian. protect Julian, hashtag protect Julian, because we know that once he gets released, it's very possible that he will be shipped to the United States, apprehended by the United States, and charged by Donald Trump. And remember, when Trump was running, he often would use the words WikiLeaks, WikiLeaks. But now that he has an opportunity to help Julian Assange, I want people to hold Trump's feet to the fire and make him actually support Julian.
Brother, he won't do a thing. I guarantee you that. He only uses people as soon as they need him, and Julian Assange is probably going to be not an asset anymore because he probably now has stuff on Trump. And so I mean, he may have thought that he did a good thing, but as it turns out, that's not going to be the case. You know how that goes. So I hadn't seen. I read this morning that they were thinking about it. I didn't know it was going to happen this quickly, and they said that more than likely he's going to be immediately arrested by the British government.
Absolutely. And then we're thinking the United States will force extradition. I know that under Jeff Sessions, there was conversation about that happening. And I don't know how it is under William Barr, our new Attorney General, but I'm only assuming that he hasn't changed, the word out of the Trump administration hasn't changed that much since Jeff Sessions.
Oh, I'm pretty sure about that. There's so much happening now. One of the things that there's so much happening that I think it's sort of a danger, right? Because when you have this amount of stuff going on, what happens is people lose track of where things are, what we should be concerned about, all that sort of thing. But now, before I get into the program, because people like to know a little bit about personalities beforehand, so why don't you tell me a little bit about who you are, how you got started in doing what you do?
Okay, brother. Well, first of all, man, I love journalism. I've been ever since I was a kid, man, I've been involved in journalism to some capacity. The internet just provided me a vehicle to do it where I could do it in my own spare time, where I could keep a full-time job and pursue my passion, which was, I wrote down when I was like 15, man, I wanted to be either a radio host, I wanted to be a public speaker, or I wanted to be a journalist. So those were the three things I wanted to do. And I've been able to do all three thanks to the internet, man. So the internet just gave me an opportunity back in, I think it was, it's been almost, 8 years now since I started producing content. So, 2008, 2009, 2010. Yeah, 2010 or so. I started making content and I had a full-time job and I would come home from work and I would cut on my computer and I would just put out stuff, put out what I thought about the issues of today, whatever was current. And leading up, I'd say around 2013, I created another channel, which was mostly just politics. With politics and social issues. Right. So that's my bread and butter. I don't just talk politics. If there's something going on in the world that I think needs to be highlighted, whether it be a shooting spree, whether it be a criminal case that I'm impassioned about, that I think that people are being mistreated, I speak out about it boldly. And look, man, the reason why I speak so bold and I don't care if I piss people off, Egberto, is because I really don't, man. Like I've already, I've already been through like the career thing, I want to move up. I already did that in the 9-to-5 world. This that I'm doing now for the last 6 years full-time, this is about passion. This is about justice. This is not about me getting a job on MSNBC or securing some type of funding through the DNC or the GOP or even the RNC either. I'm not interested in that. I'm here for the people, and I'd rather be broke and just on the right side of reality and justice than to be paid and be towing the line and lying to the people.
My brother, let me tell you something. We are cut out of the same cloth because I gave up a company to do this. You gave up your career to do this full time. A lot of people don't understand how much work is involved, or they don't understand the altruism of doing this. But the fact that two guys like us decided to make this change tells you something about how degraded we've actually gotten. So I mean, it is great. And like I said, I saw that in you when I watch your shows. And let me tell you, in this business, right, in this independent media business, we always want to find out, is that person for real or are they just blowing smoke up your what, right? If we were on your show, I would say blow smoke up your what. But let me tell you, I tell you, Tim, so I went through a whole lot of your stuff, and I'm like, man, I'm liking what I'm hearing, and I like, and let me tell you, it's not only liking what I heard, but it was learning as well. And one of the things that we have to understand from people is we have to learn how to learn from each other. What you have in this space is you have a whole lot of people that think they are the talking head, and you talk and people listen. What I try to tell my audience is we're a community, right? And what I'm trying to build as well is people that have that mentality that says, I am not some know-it-all. Hey, I'm brash with what I say. You're brash with what you say. But at any point in time, if we find out like, oh, something changed, we're also brash and saying, hey, man, you know that stuff that I told you last week? I kind of screwed up. Let's go ahead and tell you the real thing, but we do it right away so that everybody's on the same team, on the same ball field, all of the times.
Man, that's the great disposition to have, brother. The great side to be on, I think. To have the ability to actually say to people, hey, I got it wrong. This time I made a mistake. After further analysis, this is what I've come up with. Let me share this information with you. I mean, that's something that breeds like trust. That makes your audience gravitate to you, and they say, you know what, we're going to stick with this guy. Because it's not always about agreeing.
Right.
I don't agree with my wife all the time, but I still love her. You know what I mean? So agreeing is not that, some people, I think, they get caught up in, they don't want to, tick off their audience. Sometimes some people are going to be ticked off because we're talking about very sensitive subject matter. We're talking about things that cut to the heart of the community. So I think you got to be able to plow through it as long as you're coming from a place of love, information, learning. I think people won't hold it against you. They embrace you for it.
Absolutely. So there's something that you spoke about in one of your videos that, really hit me hard. And when I say hit me hard, I was like, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And that's what I mean. I don't remember what subject you were talking about, but you kind of got pissed off and you said, hey, you know what? You guys are giving XYZ a break. I say one thing and I lose 10 of my patrons. And I'm listening to them. I'm like, brother, I know what you're talking about. I know I don't have too many, but I know what you're talking about. So talk a little, expand a little. Actually, what I want to do here. I want you to explain to folks the difficulty of what we do and how we fund. But before you say that, I want to tell you a little story. When I left my company, I built up my presence with the website and all of that, and I had it well calculated that you had your ads and all of that on the website so that you had these different streams that could come in. I could do all of this for free. I could go ahead and do the talk shows. I could fly to the different states like you do to interview people all over. All of that was fine because our ads could pay for that. I tell you what happened, brother. In one day, I lost 90% of my income. That's when I went to the subscription model. 90%. When you remember when Facebook made it was Facebook as well as Google changed their search mechanism and Facebook changed their feed mechanism. 90% in the span of one day.
Wow, that's unbelievable, brother. Unbelievable.
And people, but I want to bring that up for another reason, because in 2018. You had done something on YouTube, as I remember, some I think it was after the massacre in Colorado or something like that, and just like that, I think they cut you off. They cut cut you off. So the reason I'm bringing this up is to show that in as much as we can do this independently, the masters still have a level of control. And unless we really go really independent, where we have patrons and we have supporters outside of the realm of those who control how you're going to get it, you're really not independent.
Yeah, that's a sad but true reality, man. That's exactly what I live, man. First of all, man, I'm glad you were able to survive that apocalypse of censorship that handed down by Facebook and by Google or what have you, man. As you stated, man, I went through similar struggles, man. I had a conversation about a shooting that occurred. I think you may recall, it was at a concert, a country western concert, and I had a guest on my show, and we were talking about it. And I don't lend myself to like crazy. I think if you're going to have a theory, that's fine. It should be rooted in some type of facts, some type of evidence. So But during that conversation, we did entertain some thoughts about it. The next day, I got a message from YouTube saying that, that we bullied. It was crazy. It was saying that I was bullying someone. Now, I do talk brashly on my channel, but I don't consider what I do bullying. Typically, I'm talking about political figures. I don't talk about, regular people who, who
Right.
have regular lives, regular jobs. I'm talking about people who put themselves out to the public. So I didn't understand why they did it, but for 3 months, I couldn't live stream. And live stream was the main source of my revenue, how I made my living. So I had to quickly shift gears. If it were not for Patreon, I'd have been up a river, man, without a
Right.
paddle. The
Right.
fact that I had over the last couple of years built a following on Patreon, people give as little as $1,
Right.
$1,
Yeah.
that was able to sustain me enough to make the rent, to,
Right.
make the mortgage, to help the wife with the bills. So a brother, was able to live indoors and have my kids live indoors. So yeah, man, I'm very familiar with it. And you're right. You have to truly get independent where we don't rely on these social media platforms. You have to build your own platform. And that's the only way to sort of inoculate yourself from the censorship that's going to come. Because it's going to come as you speak brashly about these issues.
And because and I know you believe in this as well. I mean, I talk about the left rail and the right rail. We always talk about the Republican Party and all the people on the right, and the Democratic Party and all the people on the right. And then I wrote a blog the other day. I said, you guys have to understand the rail theory. The rail theory is you have two rails, right? You have the left rail and a right rail. But the one thing that you do know about that rail is that they're both going in the same direction. So, so we're fighting. The left is fighting the right, and the establishment left and the establishment right are the same damn thing. They are the tracks. They are the tracks, and they're going in the same direction. And you deviate from either one of those tracks, you're out of it. So all those right wingers, the real right wingers, you're just pawns. And the real left wingers, like I consider myself, I don't know how left wing you can. I think you're left wing as I am, but I am very left wing. But the left wingers like me, you're way out. And so what we have to realize is, the other day I wrote another one and said that what we really need to start working on is a damn derailment, because that's the only way you get the tracks to move to a different direction. Because otherwise, the track always seems to be turning right.
That's right.
Whether it's the left track or the right track.
I agree, man. If you're always on one side, then you're not doing it right. Because the truth is always, it gets gray, it gets murky. You can never just always say, well, the Democrats are correct, because they're not always correct. And you can't always say that the Republicans are, bigots, racist.
They're not.
They're not. They're not all. They're going to be those that are, though, on both sides. So it's not a great business model. You're right, because polarization is what really catapults success in media.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way it is. You're a fan of the Lakers, or you're a fan of the Cleveland Cavaliers. You can't be a fan of the Cleveland and the Lakers. And hold on, they play against each other. When they come down to play, who are you going to support? So the same thing holds true, man. People like to know what bucket you in. But I believe, just as in this country, there are more independents than there are Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
There's more independents than there are Republicans. I believe when we reach enough people, we're going to find those people who know, hey, both sides stink. That's the people I'm looking for. People that realize both sides.
Let me tell you, I'm into this conversion theory, and the conversion theory doesn't mean trying to convert folks. It's just finally having folks vote their interest for a change. I have this phrase that I use that says, when we unite Appalachia, the ghettos, and the barrios. And I don't know if you know, that is sort of a stereotypical thing, but when we get those three groups of folks together and working together, finally that they'll see that they're in the same boat, and it's the other guys that's really trying to screw them. Trying to get that.
That sounds like what MLK was on, Martin Luther King Jr. was on before he was assassinated.
Yes.
Bringing together poor folks. That's the underlying issue. Bring them together on that, and then we'll have a force that they cannot contend with. We'll be able to shatter this doggone glass ceiling of elitism and oligarchy. We'll be able to topple that regime if we all band together. The problem is they pit us against each other using social issues. Using issues of gender, orientation, sometimes geography, culture. They use all these things against us to keep us distracted. Meanwhile, they went away with the money, E.
That's the whole thing, man. That's the whole thing. They keep you so distracted that you're not, and that's all that is. They keep us distracted, and then we won't think about doing anything. But anyhow, so let's. I said there are some specific topics I want to talk. Let's take the funding stuff out of the way first. How have you found as the most effective way to fund yourself as an independent media personality?
Like I stated, a subscription model where you have, you only need, there's a book out called The 1,000 Followers, 1,000 True Fans, right? It was based on a concept that all you really need are 1,000 people that really love your stuff. And that will sustain you. And if you can give those 1,000 people a reason to spend $100 with you in a year, well, you'll make $100,000 that year. That's be all you need. And
Right.
it takes all of the pressure off of, I need more viewers. I got to get more viewers. I got to get more followers. So the subscription model of just creating that 1,000 loyal fans. So Patreon or any other membership model that you can go to, the best model actually would not be Patreon. It would be your own website where you have a gate, a memberships only room. That way you don't have to get at 3% to Patreon. You can just
Right.
keep that 3% and worry about processing fees. That's the number one way. There are other ways I do it. If there's an event that I need to go to or that I want to go to, I let my people decide. Hey guys, I think it'd be great for me to go to Utah and do this performance. We're there working with Lee Camp. If you want me to do this, could you give to this GoFundMe? So I do GoFundMes for things that are like one-offs, projects. If I'm going to cover a special event, a summit or a convention, I let my people decide if that's something that we want to invest in.
Right.
When I go there, I take the cameras, I film it, I bring them back footage. So 1, 2. Another thing I do is I do sell merchandise. I sell Tim Black. I created a community. It's called the Tim Black's Wolf Pack, right? So the Wolf Pack, the Wolf Pack. Woo! Shout out to the Wolf Pack. Shout out to the Truth Bomb activists. So we have shirts, we have coffee cups, we have DVDs, we have different things that I offer my community. If they want to purchase it, they purchase it. If they don't, they don't.
They don't.
Yeah, and also every once in a while I may do a sponsorship, but you got to be careful with sponsorships. They have to be things that are in line with your overall core message. So one of my sponsors, for instance, is a online therapy where therapists, if you have issues you want to discuss with someone, but you don't want to go to a psychiatrist, it costs you a whole lot of money and you don't want to travel or what have you. Well, you can connect with this organization called wealthbeing.com. I think that's the name of it. I haven't worked with them in a while, but for instance, and you can online choose a therapist that's a male or female, gay, straight, black, white, from whatever part of the country you want, just so you have a cultural reference. And you can talk about your issues and concerns or things going on in your life and feel like there's no judgment and feel like, this person is there for me. So that's one of the sponsors that I work with, and I'm really picky. Like, I won't just work with anybody that's going to throw money. They have to be something that I think ties in to my progressive agenda. So I think those are like 3 or 4 things that I personally do that have, able to sustain me as I grow.
Well, you've just taught not only me, but a whole lot of other people different avenues that they can use to actually help themselves keep this stuff going. So those are some excellent words there. Now let's move on to what we really, 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 really like.
What's up, man?
Politics, man.
Yeah, what's up? What's up?
Now, presidential candidates. You've been giving Kamala Harris a hard time. Tell me about it.
Deservedly so. In fact, I don't think I've been hard enough on Kamala Harris because I feel, not just her, but I feel like a number of these candidates that are running and they call themselves progressive, their backgrounds, their track records do not reflect what they are saying. They found this buzzword that seems to, that's where all the energy is out in the world. The energy in politics right now is with progressives. So everyone wants to be a progressive.
Want to jump on the bandwagon.
Right. But let me give you one thing that kind of demonstrates my whole dislike for Kamala's politics. When she ran for attorney general, she ousted the most progressive attorney general in California. When she ran for that position, she ran to the right of the most progressive attorney general that California or any other state had ever seen.
Who was that?
Um, his
If you
name
don't remember, it's fine.
his name escapes me at the moment.
Yeah.
But look it up. So during the course of my investigation into her stances, I realized that she was on the left, that she was on the right, that she was on the left. She went so far to the right, she defeated the Republican. She went so far to the right, she defeated the Republican. That's how far right she was. She supported mandatory minimum. She supported 3 strikes law. She supported locking mothers up for truant children. She did a number of things and through the course of her career that showed what kind of she was willing to do anything to win. That's my problem with Kamala Harris. I'm not saying her heart was into it, because she later did some things to try to show that she was more of a on the left. But whenever it was time, she would jump back to the right. So that's been my experience with her. The same thing with legalizing marijuana. I feel like we need to decriminalize it and legalize it. Why are we locking up people for a long amount of time for a little bit of weed? I don't understand it. Well, Kamala supported it. Kamala also used prison labor in California. She didn't want to let people out of jail early because she said, well, we need them to, take care of these fires. And we know we could pay them 30 cents. Why would we inflate our budget, or why would we deplete our budget when we got these inmates? So she wasn't supportive of giving inmates good behavior time and getting them released early. There are a number of things with Kamala that I think show her true stripes.
Well, I'm glad that you said that, because right. And by the way, before you go further, who are the candidates that you are looking at right now on the progressive side? The ones that you really wouldn't mind voting for at this point?
Well, I haven't definitively made my mind up right, but I'll tell you, of course, I'm interested in Bernie Sanders' platform. I'm looking at it closely. He is someone that I think truly represents the left when it comes to social issues. I like Tulsi Gabbard when it comes to foreign policy. I think that people are nitpicking about things that she said when she was in her 20s, comments that she has now cleared up about as far as drone strikes or what have you. Tulsi Gabbard gets it. She wants peace. She's a peace candidate. She is really the only peace candidate that I see as far as interventionist wars are concerned, regime change wars. Marianne Williamson's the only candidate if you're looking for reparations for black folks.
That's a woman the motivational speaker out of California, right?
Yeah, right. Like Marianne Williamson's the American descendants of slaves. They're very vocal about wanting reparations, and rightly so. Well, that's a candidate for them. Elizabeth Warren, sort of hit or miss, but there are a couple of issues that I think she's strong on. She is against the big banks. She's always been against the big banks. She's been against corporate corruption. So I've always respected that. So I haven't totally closed the door on Elizabeth Warren either. 1, 2, 3, 4. Andrew Yang, I interviewed him recently. He talked about a universal basic income. That was a great conversation, but there are some things about Andrew Yang that I'm concerned with as far as the social safety nets. If you come from below middle class like I come from, then you know that social safety nets do serve a purpose.
Right.
And just giving somebody $1,000 a year.
That's not going to. Well, not only that, he comes from sort of the very corporate type background. So you kind of wonder, he seems to be. That seemed to me like an experiment. I want something that is real. But I want to interview him too. I have a request in for him. Where did you interview him? On your show, or?
Yeah, I interviewed him on my show, man. I use sort of like your setup with Wirecast. I use Zoom. I have a paid version of Zoom that I use, and we did this exactly like you. I live streamed it on Periscope, Facebook, and YouTube, and just got the message out.
Oh, I didn't know that Zoom allows you to do that now. Like you can if you Zoom somebody, you can do it live on Periscope and the others.
Well, you use Zoom and then you use another utility called Restream in order to make it multi-stream. But I think the Zoom portion is similar to Wirecast.
Got it. Well, guess what? We are restreaming right now as well, because right now, even though you're on Facebook Live, you're also on Periscope, YouTube, and the others right now. Now, I don't have the following that you built on YouTube. You really blew it out of the water on YouTube. We've just started looking at YouTube as far as a platform to build for live streaming. You've blown that out of the water.
Hey, man, thank you, man. Look, It's been a long time, you know. Look, the reality is, and look, let me say it to everybody watching. Tim Black is the most watched black media on the left in the country. You're not going to find anybody bigger on the left.
Right. Absolutely.
There's a couple people out there who used to work for the establishment who got fired, Roland Martin, and now they say I'm independent media. But every time I hear him, he's just trying to get back into CNN.
But not only that, he's also pitching a whole lot of stuff, man.
Yeah. He does a lot of pitching, right? Cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Or, who knows?
A marijuana, a marijuana kind of a.
Yeah, that's like. Look, I have a problem with marijuana, but
I'm for legalizing marijuana for sure.
You know, but what I'm saying is he's trying to get back into the establishment.
Right.
He's like, I saw him on the Breakfast Club talking about, hey, we need to get more of us back into blacks. We need to get more back into, controlling things in CNN. I'm like, come on, man. That's so he's not truly independent. Independent is right here. Politics done right. That's independent. Tim Black show is independent. We're not trying to get into the establishment. But back to YouTube, man. I encourage anybody to get started. Just if you just got a camera phone, use it. Like there's something about being gritty. Don't wait till you got the right equipment. I started with a cheap webcam that cost me $80. I probably got it off eBay. That's good enough. People are there for you, for your sincerity, your realism. They're not there for the fancy, shiny stuff. So you get that later. So anybody want to get started right where you are. The best time is today. And look, the world is yours if you take advantage of it.
Absolutely, and you use it very well. I mean, like I said, I'm impressed with the kind of production that you have. Who does your graphics? I love that entry, man.
Well, I actually created that intro myself, right? So if look, guys, go get yourself an Adobe subscription. It's like $30 a month.
$30 a month. It's not bad. That's what I use. I use PR. Premiere and PostScript. Photoshop and all of that. Yeah.
There you go. That's what I did, and look, and just stay up all night. Watch.
And yours look nice, man. The ones that you did with the rotation, they look great.
Oh, thanks, brother. Yeah. I did that on. I think I did that in Premiere, man.
Yeah, that looks like something you would do in Premiere. But yeah, but anyhow, back to the politics. That is some good graphics that you're doing there. Now, so as far as your candidates, you kind of told me who you want. Now, what do you think about? I'm curious. I want to see how you're going to talk about this. Beto O'Rourke.
Beto O'Rourke. If Keanu Reeves was a politician, he'd be Beto O'Rourke.
Explain. You can't just leave that out there.
All of that over dramatization, all of these things that we must do in order to be tall like walls. I am saying nothing, but I want you to rally behind what I am saying. Like, come on, man. Who talks? Look, if this is the best the Democratic Party has, just go ahead and give Trump his victory now.
Well,
if that's who you want, you are giving Trump the victory. I don't want to hear you complaining. If you put Beto O'Rourke, first of all, his name is Robert. His name's not Beto. Okay, so if you put Robert in there against Trump, it's going to be devastation. He's just going to get beat worse than Hillary Clinton.
Well, you know what is so funny, Tim? Right now, I don't see anybody, and folks are going to give me a hard time. I already wrote about this. I don't see Trump, with all things being equal right now, with all that Trump's done at 44%, I don't see Trump losing. I can't see it.
Look, dude, I was telling my wife this last night. I said, you know what? It's going to be very hard to defeat Trump, even Bernie Sanders. And I know people don't, like you said, people don't want to hear it. Look, they gave Donald Trump the Russia narrative.
Yes.
Used it for 2 years. Nothing would be acceptable except to win on that. You had to win. He had to be at least indicted.
Yes.
You had to have charged over 2 years of a cloud hanging over someone's head. Now Trump will be able to paint himself a victim of the establishment and be able to run once again as the outsider. That's the last thing that the Democratic calendar needed, was to give them that gift. And you can thank the people at CBS, the people at MSNBC, the people at CNN who benefited monetarily. They filled their pockets. They filled their pockets with money from the Russia gate. And now they have given Donald Trump a leg up. So it's going to take an outsider type of a candidate in order to defeat Donald Trump or even have a chance against Donald Trump.
Oh yeah, it can be. What is so funny is years ago when they started talking about Russia, I wrote several articles at Daily Kos, and you would not imagine how I was sliced to pieces. First of all, I was stupid for thinking that that this guy was going to last the full 4 years, that this guy wasn't going to get indicted, that we should leave Russia alone. I said, forget about Russia and work on the people. Forget about Russia. Don't create any of these issues. Go ahead and work on the people. Again, the Russia thing came when it was about to, everybody was getting ready. The Russia thing is coming. I'm like, forget it. It's not going to be what you think. First of all, even if he colluded, let's assume that he colluded. First of all, the collusion is not a crime. But let's say he conspired. That's a crime. Let's say he conspired. Okay? Let's say all of that. The reality is the plutocracy does not want Trump convicted. A plutocrat recently said, we love Trump. And you know why we love him? He's an idiot. We love him. Because while everybody's paying attention to him, we are deconstructing the country. We're blowing regulations. We are blowing all these, all these things that they're doing behind the scenes. Nobody's covering it. Why? They're so preoccupied with Trump, Russia, and all these other issues.
Absolutely. I tend to believe if they had evidence that they would have presented it. They're still trying to hang on to this notion that there's still a conviction coming somewhere. That they're actually trying to sell that. Brian Stelter was just on Twitter today saying, hey, release the whole report. Release the whole report. Releasing the whole report, I want the whole report too. I do videos on it. But that's not going to change the fact that there is no conviction, that there is no indictment, that they have nothing substantial on Donald Trump. And they're also lying to the people again, because they keep using this big number of indictments on these, we got 30 indictments.
Right.
Well, like 20 of those indictments are Russians who will never see the inside.
You'll never see the light of day. Yeah.
Never see the inside of a courtroom. And the others have nothing at all to do with Donald Trump's candidacy. They have nothing to do with Donald Trump's campaign. Papadopoulos, Michael Cohen, what's this other guy?
I know who you mean, yeah.
All of them. None of them. Some of the charges, Michael Flynn, some of these charges have to do with the way they made money prior to even knowing Trump or working with Trump. So at the end of the day, once again, once people know that, and they will know it come 2020, because Donald Trump will be sounding that alarm 24/7. That's going to be the conversation. And I don't see how the Democrats get past it. Without a candidate like Bernie Sanders or Tulsi Gabbard who can pull independent voters, they don't have a chance. These people, Amy Klobuchar?
That's a joke.
Get out of here.
That's a joke.
Peter Buttigieg? Get out of here. He's a CIA asset. He's a Wall Street kid. He's up there with this veneer. All shucks, I'm a regular guy. I'm a nice guy. Yeah, whatever. This guy is part of the problem. He's establishment through and through. Just because it's in a nice package does not change their politics. Okay?
Hey, today something great happened. Believe it or not, Joe Scarborough actually said, Bernie Sanders is really the front runner. And when the other guy came and said, but he couldn't beat Donald Trump, he actually said, oh, this is the one person that could beat Donald Trump.
Yeah, but Joe Scarborough's really, really late to the party, man.
You remember how it was.
I hope that he wasn't the one who was supposed to bring the beer, because we're ready to go. You should have been at the party a long time ago. All right, so maybe he's showing up to the party to clean up. Yeah, come clean up the place. So look, dude, we've been telling you this for 3 years now? Bernie Sanders was polling much better than Hillary Clinton. Back when he could have stood for something, Joe Scarborough, Mika Brzezinski, they didn't stand for it. They caved into the establishment. Now we have Trump. Now you finally come around. I'm not interested. They just realized that us on social media, us the new media, is actually calling it straight, and they have to contend with us. That's why some of them are changing their tune. But Scarborough was sitting up there. He was screaming Russiagate just as loudly as
everybody else,
and Joy Reid and Malcolm Nance and all of them.
But you know what? They did it with such authority.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we were jokes, man.
Yeah. Jake Tapper, and they looked down on us. They said that we work for Trump just because, and that was the worst thing in the world. Anytime I disagree with the Democrats, they said I was a Trump supporter.
Oh,
Though
that's a
I voted for Jill Stein, brother. So I don't know where you get that from. Okay, I didn't even vote for Hillary. I voted Jill Stein because I really wanted to see Jill Stein. I already knew the Democrats were going to win Maryland. I mean, Trump wasn't that good. He wasn't going to beat Maryland. He wasn't going to get Maryland. So I took it as an opportunity to vote for Jill Stein because I want to see the Green Party become a party that can give us out
Have
of
you
this.
worked with the Green Party, Tim?
I haven't worked with them, but I supported them. I had John Mubarak and Jill Stein on my show several times. I attended rallies. I spoke at rallies because I truly believe once Bernie dropped out, all of that energy as a progressive, I felt, should go behind making a third party viable. That's what I wanted for my kids.
I would love to make a third party viable. I just don't see it yet. I mean, if you have a magic wand, I'm waiting. I'm waiting to be able to figure out if we can get somebody together that can really have a real progressive party.
Bernie
Because
Sanders could have did it for us, brother.
well, he didn't.
I know that we need is you need in order to make a third party viable, you need a charismatic candidate that
Right.
will draw people in. That's already known and very popular. Not Howard Schultz, this rich,
Oh my God.
not him, like not an independent like Howard Schultz, but somebody who's already well known, that's well loved, that has a following. Bernie could do it tomorrow.
Well, I tell you what, if Trump, I wonder if Trump wins in 2020, whether he'll finally say, you know what, because I mean, look, if Trump wins in 2020, the country is in deep cacao. I mean, we really have a fascist state. A fascist state then, because he would have realized that he can do anything and get away with it.
Well, he realized that out there in the world, in the real world, not in the Washington bubble, not in the elitist think tanks across the country, but in the real world, man, people are hurting. And when people are hurting, they need somebody to blame. This is not new what he used. He just used people's anger,
Exactly.
frustration, and pain, and empty wallets. And people don't realize that 40% of our homeless population have jobs. Like they
Right.
don't
Oh,
get it.
yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
get it. 30% of black children are born beneath the poverty rate. Like they don't get the level of misery that's out here in America. Right? The people that work in two and three lousy jobs to make up for the one good job that went to China. Like people are just totally. So that's one thing about Andrew Yang that I did get, that I understood from his candidacy, was that he understood that, and he believes that's part of the reason why we got Donald Trump, is that we had so many people being replaced, their jobs being replaced. And they said, well, like I told my wife last night, they had a choice. They didn't have 20 choices. They had Hillary, more of the same, like Obama, or they had this guy. He talks bad, but he might
Let's
be
see what he
able to
can
get a
do.
job. He might help me get a job. So I know this didn't work because we've been doing this for the last 8 years. Let me try this guy. And they didn't know who Jill Stein was. And who the hell would vote for Gary Johnson? And who was Gary Johnson?
You know what is interesting? You are putting out some numbers also, and we know that 80% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. We know that. And today you listen to the jobs report, and 196,000 more people got hired. And the news media just talk, the elitist news media, they just talk about it like, oh, things are great. They keep talking about how great the economy is, and the reason he's going to get reelected is how great the economy is. Nobody is saying that, or they're not really saying that, no, the economy is not great. They laughed at Ocasio-Cortez when she said the unemployment is low because people have 2 jobs. It's a wrong statement, but the sentiment of what that meant was real. The statement was wrong, but the sentiment was real.
The numbers are wrong, but the jobs, like people are working, but what kind of jobs do they have, right?
Exactly.
Like retail jobs are one of the jobs that people relied on. But I mean, just go into your local supermarket. Do you see checkers like you used to?
No.
You see people working the counters? No, you got machines now. You do a self-checkout. That used to be a job. There are a number of jobs that have kind of went away. Manufacturing jobs that went away. People used to make great livings in our automotive industry, for instance. I mean, those guys make 80 grand, 70, 80, 90 grand a year working in those factories. Those jobs are gone. Those were jobs you could raise an entire family of 4 or 5 on. That doesn't exist in a lot of places like it used to. So I think when people's pockets are hurting, they don't care about if someone grabs someone. You understand what I'm saying? They don't care,
Absolutely.
if someone says mean things every once in a while. They need to live indoors where they have a roof and a refrigerator and they have children. So I think it was an easy call to make when you got Hillary Clinton going, I'm going to keep it the same. We're going to do it Obama. We love Obama. Like, what new exciting policies did Hillary Clinton offer the people? So it's going to take real policies that move people to get them out to vote.
Now, what's your thoughts on Medicare for all? What's your thoughts on democratic socialism? What's your thought on all these issues?
Man, Medicare for all, dude. Healthcare is a right as a human being. I believe that. I believe that in the richest country in the history of countries, we shouldn't have the lower life expectancy than Sweden. Like if we're the best, what's good of being the best if your people don't have the best outcomes when it comes to health? We pay more than anybody else for our healthcare, but we don't get the best healthcare. That doesn't make sense. So they say, make America great again. Oh, how about making Americans live again? How about making America
like that.
important, So
Right.
that's where I feel on that. Like there are different ways for us to get to it, but we need to get to it like yesterday because our senior citizens need to be able to afford their medications. And if you're sick, your first thought shouldn't be, I know when we used to get sick, my mom would just give us Robitussin and tell us to lay down. You need to lay down. The last thought was, you could break your leg almost, and she'd be like, just, sit down. Don't stand on it. Because we couldn't afford going to the doctor.
Right.
So that needs to change, man. So Medicare for all. What was the other ones?
The democratic socialism. Is that really a thing to you, or are you just see? I look at policy and
Right.
what your
Well,
thoughts.
what? With me, man, I'm not into labels so much. What does
Right.
it mean? Okay, so I think I do support it because of the policies that I support: $15 minimum wage, healthcare for all, a public education. I believe that everybody should be able to go to school. And once again, in the richest country in the history of countries, we can't send our kids to school. Once upon a time, we didn't have high school. Like people don't realize that in America, we didn't always have these things. It took people with bold ideas to get us this K through 12. Get it? So I do believe that we need to. So with socialism, I believe I must support it. If not in the title of it, I support policies that are socialistic in nature, which just means we take care of each other.
We take care of people. It would be interesting. I interviewed Richard Wolff yesterday. Richard Wolff is a you know who he is.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, check him out. Check out the interview I did with him yesterday. It was a pretty good interview. That he stayed the whole hour with me. He stayed the whole hour with me. We had a great time talking. So I checked that out. But listening to you, Tim, more than ever, tells me why we have to do what we are doing, and you have to do what you are doing and keep getting bigger, better, and better. Because
same to you, E. Definitely.
yes, sir. And the reason why, man, is first of all, you're great at what you're doing, and it's and the passion that you're putting out there for people, to give people that thing that we can do or we have to do, and not falling back to the crap they hear every day on TV that does nothing for them. I think that is so important. I really wanted to have you on my show to really give you kudos and tell you, I really love what you're doing. Keep up what you're doing because I think it's important. Most importantly, I also think having guys like you and me, when I say guys like you, I mean two black guys doing this stuff as well and not towing the line. Okay, it's very important. And I'm not talking about important necessarily for a black audience, but important for a white audience. Because even folks like the Democratic Party, they throw folks, people of color in in a monolithic state, having folks believe that somehow that addresses all. And with having all these different viewpoints and you coming out with the viewpoints you have, I think it's important for the country. And actually, I think it brings unity. What you do brings unity.
Wow, brother. Well, look, man, that's I don't know what to say, man. I'm humbled by your appreciation.
That comes from the heart, sir. That comes from the heart. Because I think and I've been encouraging others, all of us. It's hard. We all know it's hard. You found a model to do it. I'm still trying to find models to do it. We all try to find different models to do these things.
Give
We
your
have to do it.
community a name. What's the name of your community?
My community is politics done right, man.
No, you need to hold a poll and say, guys, what are we gonna call ourselves? We stand for this thing. What are we gonna call ourselves? Like, that's how I came up with the name the Wolfpack. People like, we're like a Tim Black's Wolfpack. I was like, okay, that's it.
I like that idea, Tim.
Pick a name and start rallying behind it, and then get a
I
shirt
like
or
that.
shirts and buttons, and then plan a convention of the Egberto revolutionaries, or whatever. and then you hold that rally and you do those things and you bring those people together offline and online. And
I love that. And those are the things I think we have to show people around the darn place, that's doing this stuff. And that is what's important.
Yes.
That is what you're doing. That is what we try to do. That is so important, Tim. So, Tim, solutions.
All
We
right.
don't have a lot of time now. We talk a lot about problems. What I tell people, I've written a couple of books. And in the books, what I try to tell people is a lot of people write books that just say, these are problems. I think that's useless. If you don't also say, this is what we can do. In my book, As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, what I try to tell people is they're empowered. One of the things that we were taught is that the government, we don't like the government this and the government that. And I try to empower folks to tell them that what is real is what is it? What is government? We, the people. If government is bad, it means we, the people, are allowing bad government. If government is good, it means we, the people, are doing good. And one of the things I put in the book is that we have to start engaging. I have this phrase where I say citizenship should be a requirement for, or rather, political engagement should be a requirement for citizenship. Not meaning citizenship, quote unquote, citizenship, but being in the body politic. What is your solution?
I think what we're doing right now is my solution.
Excellent.
I think that one of the reasons why we have allowed our democracy to become an oligarchy is lack of press. I think most people would agree that we need to take our government back if they knew just how bad it is. A lot of people operate with, based on distractions they see on TV. They only are concerned with issues that they are put in front of their eyes. Like, they don't have time to do what you do, E. They don't have time to do the research you do. They have a 9 to 5. Some of them have a 9 to 5, and then they have an 8 to 2. So
Right.
They really don't have the time to do the digging. That's our job. And I think if we keep informing people, we will help. We will do our part in moving the conversation and moving people and uniting them, so we actually can defeat the propaganda and defeat these corrupt politicians. I'm going to keep calling them out. I know people want they want a solution probably that is a little more clear, but I don't know what it is. Let me know if you find out what it is. Until then, we have to just keep letting people know what's really going on in this country.
Tim Black of Tim Black TV. It was my pleasure to have you on, and I hope to have you many more times on, my brother. This was great. I enjoy talking to you. Enjoy what you're doing. Love what you do. Keep doing what you're doing. Am I going to see you at Netroots Nation?
You may do that. I haven't decided if I'm going to be able to do it yet. But I want to thank you so much, man, once again for having me on. And I want to return the favor and have you on my show as well.
Anytime, my brother. You have a great day. Thank you for being around, and we'll see. By the way, I'm on Radio Row at Netroots Nation in Philly, so please hang by, or hell, you should have your show out there on Radio Row as well, brother.
Well, you know what? I might look into it. I'll hit you up. Get some more info.
Yeah, we'll do that. Take care, man. Thank you for being on the show, brother.
Thank you once again, brother. Later.
Have a good one. Bye-bye. Folks, that was the one and only Tim Black. I mean, let me tell you, go to his site. In the blog post for the show, I have all the stuff that he does. I mean, he's hard on the politicians. He's much harder on the politicians than I am. I am hard on them with a twist. He's hard on them with a twister. So that is how it rolls. Thank you very much, Tim, for having been here. I really enjoyed that. Folks, we only have about 6 minutes, and I have to do my pitch real quickly. Please remember that Those who subscribe to Politics Done Right on Patreon, go to patreon.com/Politics Done Right. Again, that is patreon.com/Politics Done Right. If you are a subscriber to Politics Done Right, you get a chance to get, as I see it, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. That book is online for those who subscribe. Of course, you can get it at Amazon.com as well, or any bookstore that sell these things. Likewise, I'm working on How to Make America Utopia. That book, I'm on chapter 2. I've already written chapter 2. Those 2 chapters are already online. Those people who are subscribers can already read those chapters, and any chapter thereafter that comes out, you will have access to it immediately. By the way, subscribers to Politics Done Right have access to every book that I write. I just wrote one. I lost some weight last few years, and I've been keeping it off and following a particular procedure. I went ahead and wrote that up in Lose Weight and Be Fit Now. Say no to snake oil weight loss. So that is another book. By subscribing or by getting these books, first of all, subscribing, you get all these books. But also, if you just decided you want to buy the book or whatever, what that does is you are supporting progressive media. As Tim was talking about, doing all the different things necessary to go ahead and keep this enterprise going. That is what we do. Look, folks, we are about to close this down. I hope you enjoyed the show. But before we go, I just want to, did I cue that up? I don't think I queued it up. But let's see if I can cue it up while we speak here. I just thought it was worth a mention. And let's see if I have it here. I do think, well. Unfortunately, I don't have it that I can see it right now, but I am still going to look for it as we speak, because I think it is just kind of funny that Joe Scarborough said it, and I wanted to play it for you guys, but it seems like I won't be able to play it because it's on the other computer. I was working at Starbucks, and I did it on that computer, and I did put it on my OneDrive, so it didn't come all over. Folks, my name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. Thank you so kindly for being a part of this show. Beforehand, I better check to see if I have anything on these messages here on Facebook. Sorry, guys, for not doing that. I was so well. Let's see. Okay. I don't have any view right now. But anyhow, folks, I'll answer all of those offline. We're about to close this out. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. Thank you so kindly for being a part of it. And you know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3, 4.